Good evening, everybody, and let's get fired up. This is Fire Up. My name is Scott Morgan with Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by Candy Ebling, Leo Haggerty, and Ralph Williams. Glad to have everybody here with me tonight. So,
Glad
with
to
that,
be here.
with that said, give you an overview. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to talk about Pittsburgh getting the NFL draft, and Candy will have her normal My Town segment, which she has created, and it's actually working out really well. So, with that said, let's get right to it. So, NBA playoff history: teams that trail 3-0. The best of 7 series are 0-156. Doesn't look good for the Dallas Mavericks, does it, Candy Ebling?
It does not. And with all the injuries they've had, and Luka, I mean, he can't carry the team by himself. Celtics are playing hot. They're playing good defense, and they're hitting shots. They're on fire. So it's just tough. And I don't see Dallas. I don't even know if they'll even get one win, honestly.
Well, Jason Kidd has done a good job all year coaching the team up, done a really good job in the playoffs, but this Boston team to me is a buzzsaw, and they're looking for win championship number 18. They'll turn it over to Leo Haggerty.
I'll tell you what, guys, I was just amazed with how bad a defender Luka is. And the Celtics went at him unmercifully. They just kept running high pick and rolls till Luka had to come cover somebody, and they just exposed him terribly as a low-class defender that either can't or won't play defense. And believe me, the way he was shooting last night from 5 and 6 feet away, he couldn't even throw it in the ocean. He was a liability for the Dallas Mavericks. When he fouled out, I said to myself, hey, now they got a shot to win because they don't have to worry about him defending nobody. And the worst thing is the announcers are saying, oh, there's nobody to help there. The guy's 6'9". He doesn't need any help. He just needs to move his feet.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Well, Jason Kidd needs to get his team up to speed here. I mean, if they're down 3-0, and and they're playing bad defense, like Leo said. No wonder Boston's up 3-0. And Boston has just been on fire, like you hear on the Fire Up show here. And they're doing what they need to do to win, and that's a great thing. They got a good young coach, and they're poised to win, and I think they're going to take it.
Well, Joemazzula's done a really good job. He really is. I was hoping though that Kyrieirving would be a little bit more of a factor in the series than he is, but I just think what you have in this series is the fact that the Dallas Mavericks are simply overmatched. Yes. They really, really are. They're overmatched. I mean, this Boston team's hungry. Going into the year, in the last 5 years, they had won 41 playoff games, but didn't have anything to show for it. So, they're overmatched. And Joemazzula's a good young coach. And, on the heels of the fact that this guy, if he keeps coaching the way he is, the sky's the limit for the Celtics. All right, well, let's go to the frozen pond. Teams that fall behind 0-2 in the Stanley Cup Finals are 5-49 all time. So, all right, Candy.
This one, I think, for the Oilers is even going to be tougher because I really don't see them winning the series. They're not shooting as much. They've only made 1 goal in 2 games. And I honestly think the travel is going to play a part in this series because traveling 2,541 miles, once they do they did the 2 games in Florida, and now they're doing the 2 games up in Toronto. And then they go 1-1-1, and I think that's just going to be too much. And like I said, as long as Sergeibobrovsky keeps playing at the level that he is, the Panthers, I think, are going to be unbeatable.
Well, Candy, I realize that you have Toronto on your mind, but it is Edmonton, just so you know.
I meant up in Canada. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, Candy. Hey, she just had her first trip to Toronto, and she can't get over what a great town Toronto is. And she got to realize that there's more to Canada than Toronto. You got Montreal, you got Edmonton, you got Calgary, you got Vancouver. Yeah, Winnipeg for who knows how long, but anyway, yeah, no, I'm just giving her a hard time. Leo, how do you size up the Stanley Cup Finals? The only thing that the Edmonton Oilers are missing, honestly, is Igor Shesterkin. That's what they're missing. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Leo.
yeah. Well, let's be honest here. A couple things. One, series doesn't begin till a visiting team wins a game, and that's why last night was so important with the Dallas-Boston series.
Right.
Came into Dallas and won. Now, can Florida come into Edmonton and win? You know, people don't talk about this, but there's a little bit of an elevation issue
Right.
as well. So we're going to see how these Florida kids that have been playing at sea level all the time. Plus, Scott, I want you to talk about this before I go on. Is Miami still underwater? Because these guys are up in Calgary and they're worried about their families.
Well, let's put it this way, Leo. I'm glad to be in Deerfield Beach. So if Miami's underwater, they're underwater, and I'm above water. So I know about the warming and all that business that Miami will sink before we will. But I'll take Broward County all day long. I really will, Leo. I really will.
To give you an idea, we live about 30 minutes away from Hollywood, Florida, and Hollywood, Florida, in the last 72 hours got 19.95 inches of water. So yes, a lot of water, but Florida can absorb it. You know, that's the one thing that, yes, it'll rain a lot, and for a short time, there's a lot of water under, and you could be underwater. You got to be careful driving on the roads, but then the water does go down and you're okay. So, it's not like some of the towns that it's all clay and the water just sits. That water, gets absorbed into the sandy soil.
Yeah, we got hillsides here, and when it rains and it goes down to hillsides, we have to close roads up. Concrete starts falling. I mean, we've had mines or subsiding roads. I mean, it's been bad when we've had heavy rain like that.
Yeah, we don't even get that kind of rain during a hurricane. What they got down in Florida. I mean, that was just bizarre. But the second thing is, and Candy, you brought this up. Sergeibobrovsky is just standing on his head. I mean, think about this now. There's probably the best offensive team with McDavid and Drysdale. He had 100 assists, and all they got is one goal. And the one goal they got was on the first shot in the second game. So they haven't scored pretty much for 119 minutes. Bobrovsky has shut them down. And he did the same thing to the Rangers. He basically was the reason why they won the series. And again, Skinner's not playing bad, but he's not playing as well as Bobrovsky.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely say this. Connor McDavid, to me, is a generational player without a doubt. And the Edmonton Oilers in Game 1 played a great game. They had the Panthers on their heels. And again, I'll go back to what you said, Leo. Bobrovsky's a reason that the Panthers were able to win that game anyway. But Connor McDavid is who he is. But, in a series like this, you always end up having, guys that stepped up. I believe that guy Rodriguez, I'm trying to remember what his first name is.
Evan
Rodriguez. Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell you what, Evan Rodriguez is certainly making a name for himself here in the playoffs, much less in the Stanley Cup Finals, that's for sure. All right, well, since you know about him, Ralph, and your thoughts about the Stanley Cup Finals?
Well, Florida, let me say this about Florida. They have always been a scrappy team. Remember last season? They came back. They were like last in the league of getting in the playoff spot, and they ended up getting into the finals again. Florida has always been a scrappy team. And the problem with Edmonton is they only have McDavid. Real. I mean, and if you shut him down, the whole team just collapses.
Right.
And you can't do that. You got to have other players. You got to have people to come up. Like you said, Scott, you got to have other players that need to come up and fill in whenever McDavid's having a bad game. You know, so that's like trying to have a quarterback throw to the same wide receiver in the NFL, and that wide receiver keeps dropping it. You got to throw it to another wide receiver. So what I'm saying is, you got to have players that step up, and that's what's going on with Edmonton right now. And Florida's just doing it. I mean, and they're taking it to them too.
Well, here's the thing. I predicted the Panthers would beat Edmonton in 7 games. If this thing goes 4 or 5, I will volunteer on the External Bum Show to call myself a bum. I will do that. I will do that. I am.
Okay.
Scott, I'm just happy you didn't say you were going to come on naked. So I'm going to.
Oh, no.
Hey, Candy, you're welcome on Saturday. We don't have a 4th person if you want to come on. 9 a.m.
Unfortunately, I have to work this Saturday, but
you're working at the bank. Okay.
Yeah, I will definitely volunteer to call myself a bum if this thing doesn't go 7. So I have a feeling that I'm going to be calling myself a bum.
There you go.
And that's all there is to it. So when we look at the NBA playoffs and the Stanley Cup, I'm just amazed, though, at these unbelievable statistics. And I'm going to reiterate one more time. Then we're going to go to a station break. That you're talking 0-56 when a team trails 3-0. I mean, never been done before. And then if that isn't good enough, 0-2 means 5-49. You know what those numbers are really good for, honestly, folks? And for those that are paying attention, watching us here on the network, all these numbers between 5-49, 0-156, 0-2, 3-0. Go and got yourself a state lottery ticket, please, people. These are good numbers. These are numbers that you don't even think of. I've got them here. Go out there and take a shot, even for $1. Well, you can't hurt anything. Gas is way more than that, anyways, or whatever they're charging. So no, I mean, but that's don't lie. I mean, let's face it. The Dallas Mavericks and the Edmonton Oilers are in deep trouble. I like my deep better than yours.
Deep water.
Well, that too. So with that said, we're going to station break. Candy, Emily, go ahead.
So tonight's show is sponsored by the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company, which published a book that Scott wrote last November. It is called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. George Eichhorn wrote the foreword. It is available on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Apple, or Google Books. Audiobook coming later this year. Watch for details. You can go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can read other writings that Scott has. You can read look at pictures that I've taken of different sports events. But you can also go to our store. We have a store where you can get South Florida Tribune merchandise or Motor City Madmouth merchandise. So please visit it. If you like to listen to podcasts, go to wherever you get your podcasts and you can find us. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, you never know what we're going to talk, what kind of sports or whatnot. And then on Wednesday nights, Scott does the Motor City Madmouth show, which is on nofilter.net. He's had Melfar Jr. He's had cancer survivor Coach Bono. He's had Jack Perconti. And last night, they talked about women in sports media with Deb Whitcos. Go to nofilter.net and check it out. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call Scott 954-304-4941. Back to you, Scott.
Thanks. And of course on Twitter /X, we're at Tribune South. Yeah, Deb was a great guest, and I have a feeling that her and I are going to work on a lot of projects together. And in fact, she was so happy the way it went. She texted me and wanted the show so she can use it for reasons. But and I think the one thing that doesn't get addressed a lot is women in sports. And I have a young student that's working under me. Her name is Kate Aitchison, who you'll start to hear more of as time goes on. She's developing right now, and she's doing a good job, but I'm keeping her, grinding to build her social media account and do little things. So that's a name you'll get to hear. I can tell you right now, wherever I go on Thursday night, Leo Haggerty goes. So Leo and I are linked on Thursday night. When I'm not in this chair, Candy, Ralph, and Jeremy Ballrick will be doing the Fire Up show on that night. We have the professor and the pupil that could be on that night, and No Filter, we're not sure where that's going to land. So there's a lot of things go. But I know Leo and I will be on a lot, and I'm glad that he's a part of the network as well. Last thing I'm going to talk about, then we're going to turn over to Candy. Pittsburgh is going to host the NFL draft in 2026, presented by Bud Light. So, and that's a story that appeared in the South Florida Tribune on May 22nd. Well, you know what? We'll go to our resident Pittsburgh expert. All right, Ralph, are they pretty excited about hosting the NFL draft?
Very excited, Scott. Our mayor here, and and our elected officials went out and really pushed for Pittsburgh to get this. I'm happy that they have, or it's going to be here in Pittsburgh, because we need this kind of an event here in order. And then our mayor went up to Detroit to see what they did to make it what it was there. And and then he just got back not too long ago from talking to Detroit officials up there. They gave him some pointers and tips as to how to handle security and things like that for the event. It's going to be great for this area. It's going to be great for Western Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh is building some new hotels anyway. We got about 5 new ones going up anyhow. So we're going to have enough hotel space, I think, to handle this. I've been around big events, and I used to work event security, and I know what it is to be around big events. And let me tell you, this is one of the biggest events in the history of this town, I think, other than, we've had the Winter Classic here and some other stuff here. But, I mean, this is the biggest one, I think, of them all. And it's the most watched TV program, or, the NFL draft is very high ratings. Everybody watches it. I watch it from Thursday all the way to Saturday, and I don't miss a beat.
Very good. Okay. Hey, well, Smoking Jeremy is here in the chat room. Okay. And we're going to mention his comments. And just so Jeremy, okay, as I said before, I don't know if you were listening, that when I'm not in this chair tonight, it'll be you, Candy, and Ralph as well. So you don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead and put his comments up. Candy, go ahead and read them, please.
It's hard for any playoff behind the 0-2 or 0-3 8 ball. The one team who did was the Red Sox, who beat the Yankees, but not in those other sports. Basketball and hockey are a different animal.
Well said, Jeremy, and that's exactly what that whole stat was all about anyway. So, but I'm glad you brought up the Yankees and the Red Sox, because a lot of people thought the Red Sox were gone. That was the year they snapped at it large. Jinx as well. Okay, so Leo, what's your take on Pittsburgh getting the draft? Because let's face the reality, okay? Detroit now has set the bar high. They have. And Green Bay gets it next year. I'll be curious to see how that is.
You're talking that too, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it. Green Bay is now following in Detroit's footsteps. In this case, Detroit is overshadowed by Green Bay everywhere but the NFL draft. And Detroit put on a good show. With that said, I'll turn over to you, Leo.
You know what, Scott, you just stole my thunder, because that's exactly what I was going to say. That bar is set so high after what they did in Detroit. Yeah. It is just crazy how many people they had there.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that many people in Green Bay.
Right.
They have to bring in the entire state of Wisconsin into Green Bay just to get that kind of numbers. But again,
right.
It's truly a television event that people look forward to seeing the draft. And it's just crazy.
Well, let me tell you, if I go back to my old days, okay, covering the Lions, I would stay in different hotels all the time. 1 minute I'm in Manitowoc, the next minute I'm in Appleton, and you name it, I was going to different places within an hour away. So I never knew where the Lions hotel was, but I stayed with the Detroit Lions because their PR people took care of my travel arrangement. So it was always a mystery where we were going to go. I got the team rate and all that, but still. But I'll tell you what, remember, I went to a Super Bowl when Jacksonville hosted it, and they talked about it in cruise ships, and that was a disaster. Luckily for me, though, I had a decent-sized vehicle and stayed in the rest areas at that time, and I went to a truck stop and asked one guy if he could go ahead and let me use the shower. And I said, I'll make a deal with you. I'll get you some memorabilia from the game. Just let me use the shower at 3 or 4 in the morning. He said, no problem, man. This is what I'll be. And that way I kind of worked out. You had to make the most of it. Yeah, Jeremy, you're right. Red Sox snapped their 86 World Series drought that year. That's where we're going with it. But back to my story here. Okay. So, these smaller towns getting big events, but Green Bay deserved this one. They really did. When you think of a youngster, okay, going out there and getting his name called in that town. But you know what? Candy Evelyn's chomping at the bit. I hope I'm not stealing too much of it. Go ahead, Candy.
Well, you guys can all talk about it. I'm the one that lived the closest to there. And yes, are they going to have a hard time with hotels? Absolutely. But how can the NFL draft not go to such an iconic venue? Where else, what other venue is more iconic in the NFL other than Lambeau Field? I mean, they play for the Lombardi-trophy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I get it. Like, are we going to have the same crowds that Detroit had? No. Green Bay is not that big of a city like Detroit is. Detroit has Windsor just across, the lake. So there's a lot more hotels there. There's a lot more places, but no place can be more iconic. So whether we break attendance records or not, there's no better place, I don't think, than Green Bay to have it at least once. I'm not saying they've got to have it every year. I like the fact that it rotates. Every city should have it because I think every fan base deserves to be able to view that on a national stage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you haven't been to Lambeau Field, it should be a bucket list for everybody. I was fortunate myself to cover the Lions. I went there multiple times and loved it. It was hard for me to cover games in Milwaukee County Stadium, though, to watch football. That wasn't easy. All right, so let's go back to kneecap fighting. I certainly have some comments about what he just put up there. So he's going to have some big fish lined up for interviews over the next few weeks and a big event in Detroit on August 26th. Let me give you some good words of advice. Kneecap fighting for a guy that's been in the business forever. If you can write nice, clean-cut stories and get them on the Tribune, I will be impressed. But you have to write stories to impress me, and you have to make them as clean as possible, and we will edit them so you look even better. So write stories, turn those into ideas, and put them on paper, okay? You know, if you want to become Don King, you want to promote your activity, make sure that it's worth promoting, okay? And then you'll have to give updates on when you're on this platform a couple times a month with Candy and Ralph. So impress me, Jeremy, and write, because the best journalists / podcasters, whatever you want to call it, are writers, right, Leo? Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody asks me, you know, how did you get into this business? I said, I'm a coach that can put together a 5-sentence paragraph.
Right, exactly.
That's the bottom line. You know, you can talk all you want, but the written word is something that people will always have. And you've got to paint a picture. I keep telling people, if you want to get into this business, you better be a wordsmith. Because if you're not a wordsmith, you got problems. Because you got to be able to sit there, and I like John Facenda with the original when he did NFL films. You know, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. You know, those things. You know, the winds of winter. You got to be able to paint the picture for these people.
Yeah, so Jeremy says, where do you think I'll be sending the interviews? Well, I'll tell you what, you won't be sending them to the Hollywood Sun-Tatler because they're out of business. You won't be sending them to the Miami News. And Jeremy, you know, maybe you might want to let these places know who the publisher is in this story, because you obviously laid an egg on the last one, okay? Because in life, when you mention a name of a title, and I like kidding around with Jeremy, I really do, because he handles it real well. But in life, right, Leo, that when you mention a title, don't you think that a name goes with it?
You would think so.
Yeah, well,
you know, they call it a byline for a reason. Okay, that's who's writing the story. But they call it a title for a reason, too, because it's got to grab you.
Exactly. So journalism 101, okay, for everybody out there that's learning the business. If I write Vice President of the United States and I leave a blank, who the heck is going to know who it is? So it's always a wise idea to insert that name next to the title. And at that particular point, that is journalism 101. I will leave it at that, but I'm sure you'll be promoting your work, and I'm sure you're doing it for everyone, Jeremy. But I'm just trying to give you some advice, okay? I really am. And I got news for you. You know, I mean, he's been with the company for a while. You know, he tries hard. Got to give him his due. He did a super job over at the draft when he was broadcasting all over the place to his cronies with kneecap biting. You know, he was doing all right. But, no, just a little journalism etiquette, okay, Jeremy? And we'll leave it at that. So any other thoughts about the draft at all? I know we've talked about Green Bay, Detroit being a tough one to follow, and I think Pittsburgh. But the thing about Pittsburgh and Green Bay, okay, that I always like to mention is you have those areas where you have a lot of championship football that has been played. Seems
Yes.
like you have. I mean, the Steelers won what, five, six Super Bowls. Green Bay
Yes.
won a few, and that doesn't count the billions of NFL championships they won before you got to the Super Bowl area. And anytime you have Chuck Noll, you have Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, you got Vince Lombardi, to say the least. I would say Mike Holmgren. You got some pretty good
Mike
coaches.
McCarthy. Yep.
Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
Yeah, you have a lot of football history there for sure. So, any closing thoughts about the draft from anybody?
Tell you what, people better learn. If it's going to be in Green Bay, you better learn how to spell Ashwaubenon. You better learn how to spell
Yeah.
Warsaw. You better learn
Yeah.
how to spell Door County, because if you go
Yeah.
up to Green Bay and you don't go up to
Yeah.
Door County, you are cheating yourself, because it's just it's a wonderland of just environmental change. You can go from Madison to Green Bay, and all of a sudden you think you're in a different world. And then you go up to Door County, and you know you're in a different world, right, Candy?
Oh, you bet. You bet. Different
Yeah.
parts of Wisconsin are beautiful in different ways. And there's a lot of different, lacrosse, almost the UP, and definitely Door County is beautiful. Lake Geneva is beautiful, and they're all very different.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you one thing when it comes to Wisconsin, I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce all them Indian names. I'm really not. I'm really green at that, So, but my wife definitely finds a way to make sure that she lets me know what they are because I don't really know much about them things. But it is what
Well,
it is.
I grew up in Hiawatha Estates on Pocahontas Drive. There was
Wow.
Teepee Court, Red Cloud Court, Hiawatha,
Yeah.
Pontiac, Howe. All of those names were street names in the subdivision.
Yeah, which way to Chippewa Falls, right?
Exactly.
All right, so I do want to pass along a birthday greeting that just came across the wire services. My brother-in-law Tracy Olson has a birthday. Don't know how old he is. I'm really not worried. So
Oh, happy
it'll be
birthday.
happy birthday, Tracy. It'll be up to Candy to convey this in a group message because unfortunately Tracy hasn't subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, so he won't be able to hear it there. But he'll hear it in the group chat. So happy birthday, Tracy. More power to you. I hope you have many, many more. And Jeremy, we have a trick question here for you. Who is the publisher of the South Florida Tribune? Okay, and we'll give you to the end of the show to go ahead and figure it out. Okay. All right. So with that said, hey, you know what can I tell you? And I'm sure he'll figure it out. Okay. So all right. With that said, we're going to turn over to Candy. She has this original segment called My Town, and I'm going to give my mic over to her. Go ahead, Candy. Take it away.
So my segment is My Town, and what that means is you talk about what's happening in either the town you live in or the town that you grew up in, whichever you would prefer. So I do this on all of my Fire Up shows. I created it, I don't know how long ago. It seems to stick, and everybody loves to talk about something proud. It doesn't even have to be sports related if you don't want it to, but it can be. Ralph, I know you've done this numerous times, so let's start with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Candy. Let's talk about the Steelers a little bit with mini camp. The Russell Wilson, Justin Fields saga is going on right now. Najee Harris not showing up on media day, took the day off because he was ducking the media, according to what I've told from my friends, because he doesn't want anyone to talk about his contract dispute with the Steelers right now. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. And, the number one draft pick's doing well. But it's just mini camp right now. We have to wait and see what happens in training camp, preseason, and the regular season before we can do this. And the big thing here has been the Mike Tomlin extension. Does he deserve it? I don't know. But there are a lot of people here. Some people think he don't. Other people think he does. I think this will be his last contract. That's just my opinion. My co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier, worked with him side by side when he worked for the Steelers. And Mike Tomlin told him he will never go on TV. So we have national people out here saying, well, he'll go to TV after this contract. No, he said he'll never go to TV. But then again, Others have said that, and they want the TV anyway. So we'll see what Mike Tomlin does. But I think this is going to be his last contract because it'll be 20 years, and I think he wants to. His kids are grown. Grandkids are going to be coming, and I think he's going to want to spend time with them and things like that. So I see him going 20 years, and that's it. But this, I believe, will be his last contract. But I'm happy he got it. I've called him mediocre Mike for a long time. But we'll see what he does. He has 3 more years to do it. So, but also, like we said, Scott, we're getting ready for the NFL draft 2026. Stuff is getting started with that. And, we have, the Pirates. They blew it today, but they've been hanging in there, doing pretty well in a weak division. And I think they're going to do okay and get some things done. Rowdy Tellez has actually started picking up things in the last month or so. So, I think they were getting ready to trade him. The trade deadline's coming up. We're going to see what happens, what the Pirates do in the trade deadline. They've done some strange things in the All-Star game. We're going to see what happens after the All-Star game. The Pirates seem to fall, except last year. They did pretty good after the All-Star game. So we'll see how that goes. And, the Pitt Panthers, on the other hand, just got a couple 3-star recruits for football, and they're getting ready for their season coming up in August for training camp. So we're going to find out where they go this year. I'm predicting 8-4 again. That's about as far as Pitt can go, I think, with Pat Narduzzi, and we'll see where that all goes as well. And that's about it for me in Pittsburgh.
That's about it. You know what you just did there, Ralph? I'm going to tell you exactly what you just did.
What's
you
that?
had enough information to fill up a 2 to 3 minute newscast, which is what they're all allowing on local TV.
I know.
But you know what? It was good. It's the first time I've heard this, so I give you a props, Mr. Williams. Okay, a 2 to 3 minute newscast presented by Ralph Williams. All right.
Yeah. I know about time. I've been on the radio, so we got to go to a commercial break and all that stuff. So I know about time.
Yeah.
You want to get it in.
You're preaching to the choir, pal. Okay, go ahead.
Leo, what's happening in your? First of all, tell us everybody what your town is that you are picking.
This is going to be like you can't make this story up. I was born in Mock Chunk, Pennsylvania, and you're going, where the heck is that? Well, I'll give you the name it became, Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. So, yeah, that's where the great Indian athlete Jim Thorpe was buried. He was finally, his remains were removed and taken back to Oklahoma. But I actually grew up in a town named after Jim Thorpe, who was probably the greatest athlete in terms of what he could do. Football, baseball. In fact, because he played semi-pro baseball, it cost him his decathlon gold medal because they said he was a pro. Well, think about how crazy that is. But now the town, which basically is in the anthracite coal region and was just going south in a hurry, now because of the whitewater rafting down the Lehigh River and because of the old train station where they run the steam engine trains on the weekend, this town is starting to thrive. So, yeah, I was born and raised in Jim Thorpe, went to New Jersey, but I'll tell you what, if you get a chance to go to Jim Thorpe, you'll enjoy it. They call it the Switzerland of America because it sits right between the mountains. And Mock Chunk is Indian for Bear Mountain.
Look at that. Nice. Scott.
That's my name. Of course, Motor City Madmouth is as well as South Florida Tribune. All right, when I do, lessons from the microphone part 2, I have to give credit to my friends over at Inter Miami because they've done something this year that I've seen that I never thought I would ever imagine in my lifetime. We're sitting in a press conference afterwards and the coach doesn't speak English. And I'm thinking, OMG, seriously. So what I'm going to have to do is either I start speaking Spanish, and that'll probably never happen, or you know what? I'm just going to write a chapter in there and say, a new way to go out there and attend a press conference, and yet we're recording this stuff on YouTube, and we're still getting at least 300 to 400 views anyway. So, in my opinion, in Miami, I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to add another dimension of my book about being bilingual, because that I am anything but. Okay. But you know what? I'm just looking at this thing. So I told one of the PR guys, listen, man, here's what we got to do with Coach Martino. I need to go ahead and take a picture with this guy the next time I'm here. Okay. And then I have a picture in Lessons from the Microphone with Muhammad Ali. Now, we all know that picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Well, I mean, Muhammad Ali may be worth a whole lot more than 1,000, but with Coach Martino, I'll take it. Let me take a picture with the coach. He'll never know what I'm going to say. I won't know what he's going to say, but the general public think, hey, the Motor City Madmouth is standing next to the coach, and let you draw your own conclusions. But you know what? We've been treated very nicely with Inter Miami. I really enjoy working with those people there. I just have to find now master the art of covering this team, because what I have seen this year, I never have. And in Detroit, you'll never see it in a lot of places, but only in South Florida will you see a guy, somebody go into a press conference and not know what they're saying, and they probably go ahead and let you go ahead and ask a question and translate it. I won't know what it is anyway. So I'll find a way to create a story, but I'll tell you what, winning ugly is the only way that I can define the early part of my Inter Miami experience. I don't even know how you say Messi in Spanish, but I do know he's an awfully good player. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, let's see. I can comment on a lot. Like your Messi comment. Well, Messi has said that this is going to be this is the last place he's going to play for. So who knows? He's got a contract through 2025. Who knows if he'll extend? But as for my town, I'm gonna go back up to Wisconsin, and I'm gonna say the Milwaukee Bucks obviously did not do well. Doc Rivers came in. Everybody thought, oh, well, there's no way they're going to do good with the playoffs because he's coming in and he's got a horrible record. Now they've brought Darvinham in. But now the interesting thing that came out is that Doc Rivers said that Damian Lillard was in the worst condition shape-wise at the beginning of the season that he has ever been in before, because he did not work out, because he knew he was going to get traded. He didn't know who he was going to get traded to, and he did not want to get injured. So now all these people, and I'm thinking here, as a pro athlete, how can you not stay in shape yourself before your season is coming due, whether you're going to be traded or not, or new contract or not? It just surprises me. And they're saying now that he's going to stay in shape, that was the worst it had ever been. Yeah. My question is, now that all these contracts are floating around in the NFL, and let's face it, Trevor Lawrence just got paid. He just got a big contract. What do we think Jordan Love is going to end up with? Because we've had a lot of success with our previous two quarterbacks. Let's face it, Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers. So do we think Jordan Love is going to be that generational of talent? And if he is, we've got to pay him. But he hasn't proven. I mean, he hasn't proven that much. But if we don't, will somebody else?
Yeah.
So be careful, Brian Gutenhorst. That's all I got to say.
To be continued. Once we get that figure. So, well, tell you what, this Fire Up show's pretty good. I don't get on here often, but I'm certainly looking forward to coming on here. When I go on here, Haggerty will be here with me. But I got other things I'm working on with Haggerty, man.
Yeah, the three of us will be on Saturday.
Yeah, right. And I'm glad you brought that up. So, Ralph, why don't you give everybody a preview of what to expect on Saturday's edition of the External Bump Show?
Yeah, we have the External Bump Show. It's live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. I host the show. Leo Haggerty and Scott Morganroth are my co-hosts. and we talk about bumps in sports. We start off with that. I have a bump for Saturday, and it has to do with a hot dog, and I'll tell you what it is on Saturday. Also, our topics are going to be about college athletes filing for bankruptcy. Deion Sanders' son filed for bankruptcy. We're going to talk about that because if this is going to be an ongoing thing, and who's to blame? All right. So we're going to talk about that Saturday extensively. Who's to blame for that? That's one of our topics. And we're going to talk about, of course, the NHL playoffs and more Saturday morning, 9 a.m., the External Bum Show. Join us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. I'm working on a fourth guest. We'll find out, or a fourth person. We'll find that out soon.
Yeah, well, I can say one thing about Saturday's show, at least this one. I'm not worried about eating my words that day because the series won't be over. But if it means I have to another week, I'll deal with it. But yeah, it's a good show. I enjoy working with Ralph and Leo on there.
I enjoy
It's a lot of fun.
as well. So.
Yeah, so again, Ralph does a good job promoting my book. I know he does, and Leo obviously is certainly getting acquainted with the book and all that. But this is something I've worked hard on. But there's more work to do on it. But this show, External Bum Show, has a boatload of potential. And I think the one thing I love about Ralph and Leo and myself as a group is you have a lot of experienced heads there. So.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess we lost Jeremy, but I think by now he does know who the publisher is, not by title, but by name. So we'll see there. But at any rate, it's possible he'll be sitting in this chair next Thursday night. But in the meantime, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I want to say about Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Candy was talking about Green Bay and the great tradition here. 2010, we played each other in the Super Bowl, and that was the first time two storied organizations like Green Bay and Pittsburgh back in the day, Super Bowl wins and things, and just some big time organizations. It was great that we played Green Bay in the Super Bowl in 2010. We came up short, unfortunately. So but that's my closing thoughts.
Yeah, now the irony is they're both going to be having the draft back to back here. So
yes.
Anything you want to add, Candy?
I'm going to say go Panthers. Right now it's tied 0-0, and I just saw a lot of fighting on the screen. So there,
there you go.
Hockey is back, full force.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that said, I'm going to let everybody know how they get a hold of each other. Start off, Ralph.
Oh, yes. You can get a hold of me on my emails, ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. I have a very extensive group of people who come on with a mailbag. So you're welcome to do that as well. Also, YouTube, Ralph Williams, RW Media. And in the future, I might be going on Mixler Radio, an internet radio station. I'm taking a look at that entity. We're looking at that. Facebook, also Tumblr, LinkedIn, and Twitter X platforms as well. So don't forget to join me and check out my shows. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.
Very good. All right, Leo, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find us Amped Up Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube. We have a sit-down tomorrow, a one-on-one with Coach Amir Abdul-Rahim from USF, who just signed a contract extension, Scott, through 2030. So they got locked up for another 6 years, so that's huge. And Candy, you might as well tell everybody what just happened in the hockey game.
Yeah, the Panthers just scored. They are up 1-0 now.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead, Candy. Give us our information one more time. I believe that when I'm not even taking sides in this because I believe I have to be objective by the rule of journalism.
There you go.
And for what?
I'm being objective. I look the results. I don't take either team.
But you're not covering either. You're not covering the game, so you don't have to be objective. You can have an opinion. It's okay.
I got no shortage of them. I don't have an opinion on this series except the fact that if the Panthers don't win it in 7, I'll be eating crow and calling myself a bum on that show.
Okay. This show was brought to you by South Florida Tribune Publishing Company, which we published a book back in November. Scott wrote it, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. George Eichhorn wrote the foreword. There is even a picture of Scott with Muhammad Ali in this book. You'll have to go check it out. Buy it, Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Google, or Apple. Audio version coming later this year. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can read what Scott's written. You can see my pictures. Jeremy's written for us before. We have transcripts of Dolphins, Jags, Lions. We have USF sends us information. Gators, Hurricanes, Florida Atlantic, Nova. All of those local colleges send us sports stories. Go to our website, check it out. Buy from our merchandise store. If you like to listen to podcasts, get us wherever you get your podcasts. Call Scott if you want to advertise, 954-304-4941. If you have ideas, you can always email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If I missed anything, most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow all of our guests and our hosts that come on these shows. We have a wonderful lineup. Monday night is baseball. Tuesday night is football. Wednesday night is Sports Exchange. Thursday night is Fire Up. All the people that contribute, a lot of them have their own YouTube channels or shows. Please go follow them and support them as well. We appreciate all that they do for us. So please, pay it forward. If I missed anything, it's been scrolling on the bottom. You can always rewind and watch it again and catch all that you missed. One last thing. If you like listening to podcasts and broadcasts and you want to listen to an all-female show, Tuesday nights, 7:30, Chicks and Salsa, or 3 Chicks in a Pod. I'm one of the hosts, Carrie, Jen, and Megan. The 4 of us do it. Come check us out. 3 Chicks in a Pod or Chicks and Salsa. Back to you, Scott.
It's a great show, folks. Candy, Jennifer, Matthews, Lewis, Megan, Price, Carrie Johnson do a really good job.
I watched it. Great show.
Yeah, they do. In fact,
You ladies put up one heck of a show.
Yeah, they really do. And it was good over at the NFL draft how we collaborated with them on that one night, so we have a lot more people as well. So they do a really super job, and I enjoy what Candy has done. So it's really been good that the 4 of them have turned out and found themselves a gig together. So meanwhile, that concludes this edition of Fire Up. On behalf of Candy Ebling, Leo Haggerty, Ralph Williams, myself, and Smoking Jeremy B in the chat room. Okay, we want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next Thursday night on Fire Up. Good evening, everybody. Have a great weekend. And finally, for all the fathers out there, okay, happy Father's Day to you as well.
Happy Father's Day.
You have a great
I
week.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You got it.